Yo guys, what is up? It's your boy TRUEDBZMaster back with another video, and today I'm going to be starting a short little mini series on the channel called the My Dragon Ball FighterZ Changelog. So basically this is going to be my version of patch notes that I will be doing to both the game and characters within the game. And I figured this would be a fun little series to do. I'm probably not going to do every single character in the roster, only if you guys actually ask for certain characters, but I do have certain characters in mind when it comes to what I want to talk about. But today we're going to talk about the nit and gritty of FighterZ, the system itself. So I figured I'd start with the system itself because this is what I'm going to be using as a basis for how I'm going to buff and nerf the characters of the roster, because I can't make character buffs without changing the system, because there are a lot of things I would do to the system, which is why I'm making this video. So with that being said, I'm going to be talking about multiple avenues of the game in this video. I'm going to be talking about auto combos, key charge, chip damage, assist, guard cancel, Crossup Protection, raw tag, Vanish, SuperDash, sparking, limit break, and reversals. So those are all the things I'm going to be talking about, and how I would change them. So with that being said, let's get started. So first we have the super combo system. This is basically the auto combo system in the game that we have. For those of you who don't know, super combos are basically if you press the light button or the medium button multiple times, you get a short little combo that the game automatically gives to you without any additional inputs. Now the super combo that I'm talking about is the 5LLL string. So normals can be whiffed in the game. I feel like everybody knows this by now, but there is one thing I would change about this system, and it's the fact that I would change that attacks cannot change direction after the first input. So for those of you who don't know, if you use your auto combo and let's say you set it as a bot, right? If you set it as a bot, if you try to jump over your opponent, the person doing the auto combo will actually track the person jumping over you. So certain characters with anti-air properties on their auto combo, or characters that just has a really tall auto combo, can just snipe you from the ground basically. And I want to change that. I don't really have a problem too much with normals being whiffable. I feel like most auto combos aren't that egregious now, but there are certain ones that really need to be toned down, and one of the things I want to change is the fact that you cannot change directions when doing your super combo, or at least your 5LLL starter. So that's what I'll change about the super combo system. Next, I'm going to be talking about key charge. So key charge is basically every character has this ability that you can actually charge up your meter manually instead of only being able to do it through combos or just movement. You can actually charge up your key manually. Now most players don't actually use key charge because it's very risky with very little reward most of the time. So what I want to do is, my first buff is that I will have a key charge actually recover blue life. Now this is going to be very slow regen. I have here that it's going to recover 300 HP every second. So it will take you probably around 20 to 25 seconds, like fully, to just recover all of your health. So I feel like that's long enough, and most times you're not really going to be able to sit there and charge all your blue life back. But I feel like 300 is a pretty good limit. I didn't want to make it 100 because that's just way too low for it to be used at all. So I feel like 300 is a pretty good middle ground here. And my main reason for doing so is I just want key charge to be more usable. And it also helps out with anchor characters, because if your anchor is getting comboed and then they have a lot of blue life, then well, you can't spark to get it back, so you might as well key charge and get it back. And my next change is I would make key charge able to be cancelled into 2H after frame 45 of being active. So the startup of key charge is 15 frames. That's when the attack really starts. And then the actual meter gain actually starts at frame 35. So I'm gonna have like a 10 frame window where you can't 2H, but after that 45 frame range, you can actually 2H your opponent. Just so you know, if you're key charging full screen, then you can actually like 2H them for trying to punish you. And then, you know, also the general buff that key charge already has, you know, it being key blast deflectable, though not projectile involved, because you can throw beams and stuff. So there's still risk to using key charge, but I just want it to be a more used mechanic within the game. And it also can be used in certain combos, like if you're using your assist and then you want to key charge 2H, and then you can, you know, gain a little bit of meter and health, you know. So that is what I would change about key charge. Next on my list is chip damage. So the first thing I would do to chip damage is that I would give normals and key blasts a small percentage of chip damage if they are blocked. In the current state of the game, you cannot get chip damage from your normals and key blasts, and so chip damage isn't really a factor when it comes to the game overall. So having them being able to activate on normals and key blasts will just add a little bit of pressure on your opponent for actually blocking for too long, because just slowly over time they will just, you know, lose damage. And I'm pretty sure chip damage is blue life as well, so you'll be able to recover them with key charge in my version of patch notes. And then also you have Krillin, Sense of Being, and Spark and all that. And then alongside with that, I will actually increase the chip damage from specials and supers. That way, you know, if you're doing a block string to specials and you just want to end your block string there or use your assist, then the chip damage can really start stacking up and actually be a real threat. And this will add more viability to anchor characters as well, because most anchor characters are more so strike, throw, left, right characters. There aren't a lot of high-low mix-up characters, but outside of level 3. So this will give a lot more viability to anchor characters, because they'll just be able to chip away your health if you just continue to block them over and over and over again. Alright, so now we go into the assist system. So now I'm going to be talking about all assists across the board. This is universal for every assist in the game, by the way. So the first thing I would change is add more ending/landing recovery. And the way I would do this is that all grounded assists will stay on the ground for a longer time after the attack is finished. So let's just say Super Saiyan Goku is throwing out a beam. Goku won't immediately despawn after the attack is done. Goku will actually throw the beam and then actually stand there in an idle state after the assist is actually done. Just so it'll be easier to hit assist and happy birthday. And then alongside with that, aerial assist, what I would do is for all the assists that spawns or jumps in the air, the character themselves will actually fall back to the ground and then once again go into the idle state, and then for a short period of time you can actually hit them. And so that's what I would do to aerial assist. So this would nerf aerial assists like Vegito A, Super Saiyan Vegeta A. This would help out versus probably like DP assists, you know, like Adult Gohan, Teen Gohan. You know, if your opponent is using a lot of DP's assists and it's really hard to attack them because they're invul and they're really fast, well, if they don't, you know, use them properly and you block it, then you can easily punish the DP assists and punish them. Alright, so the next change I would do to the assist system is assist cooldown can activate when in hit stun. So for example, if you're using your assist in neutral, like a beam assist, right? And you call them, and then let's just say your opponent reflects the assist and then punishes you. Well, after you get punished, in the current state of the game, your assist will not actually enter cooldown state until you're out of hit stun already. So in this version, if you get hit after your assist is over and you know you're getting comboed, your assist cooldown will actually activate while you're still in hit stun. This will just bring more viability to assists in general, just them being able to use more often. And I'm trying not to bring back the you know, frame 1 assist calls, because they kind of nuked that back in season 2. But this would just add assist playability just across the board, just having them more often and being able to use them a little bit more defensively. But once again, with the previous nerfs in my patch notes here, it will be a lot easier to punish them either way. So I kind of wanted to even it out, you know, with the assist system. So the next system change is I'm going to be changing guard cancel. So this is not guard cancel Vanish. I think guard cancel Vanish is completely fine for right now. This is just the regular guard cancel. Basically, if you're blocking, you can hold forward and assist, and then you will guard cancel, as in tag in another character and get out of pressure, hopefully. And hopefully this change will actually make it a little bit easier to punish it, because I feel like, especially in the corner, it's a little bit too hard to punish it. What I want to do with it is increase the startup from 22 to 25 frames, making it a little bit more on the reactionary side. This will make it easier to punish, basically, especially in the corner. Most characters that can really punish guard cancel are multi-hit characters like Vegito 5L, Kefla 5LL, Labcoat 21 2M and 5M. Like, those characters in particular are really good against guard cancel because they have multiple attacks and you can anti-air in the middle of it regardless of where the attack is in this animation. But other characters that have like one hit animations, they can't really punish it without just straight up calling it out and potentially losing pressure because of it. So this change is going to make it a little bit easier for players to actually be able to punish guard cancel. Next on the list is Crossup Protection. So this system is basically a system to help limit left-right mix-ups because of assists and other system mechanics like that. I do think it's a little bit too tight of a mechanic, so my change is that I'm gonna lower the frame limit for Crossup Protection. I couldn't find what the exact numbers are even on the wiki for Dragon Ball, so I would just say lower it by a couple frames, just to make strike throw and left-right focused mix-ups a little bit stronger, because they're definitely on the weaker side because of Crossup Protection in particular, especially if you use assist with a lot of block stun like Labcoat 21A, Jiren A, Kid Buu A. Like left-right mix-ups are very difficult to do unless they're very particular about the timing and super jump floating and all that stuff. So I want to lower a little bit of Crossup Protection just so strike throw and left-right are a little bit stronger. Most of the mix-ups in the game are high-low, so I want to add a little bit variety when it comes to mix-ups here. But overall, I think Crossup Protection is important, but I do think it needs to be a little bit more free when it comes to it. Now we get into raw tag. So raw tag is definitely one of the mechanics a lot of players are very upset about and very irritated by, and me too. So I have two major changes I want to do to raw tag. The first change I would do is add recovery if blocked. So this won't occur on hit, because on hit you want to be able to actually, combo your opponent. So on block, I want to make raw tag -10 on block, right? So what this would do is actually punish really bad tags. So if your opponent is pressuring you and they're holding tag throughout your entire pressure string, and then as soon as there's a gap in your pressure string, they automatically tag. Well, if you bait that, you can actually punish, because now it's -10 rather than being, I think it's either 0 or -1 as of the current patch of the game. So making it -10 is just makes it completely punishable. There's nothing you can do outside of air actions or air DPs, or not air actions, air DPs or counters or something like that. But if you do absolutely nothing, it's -10, so your opponent can actually punish you if you raw tag. Next on the list is, this one's going to be highly controversial, but I believe they should cancel all air options on a block. Even if even if you haven't done your air options. So in the current state of the game, if you raw tag or super dash or anything of the sort, if you don't double jump or air dash anytime beforehand, you will actually keep your air options, which is basically double jump, jump float, air forward, air back, all that stuff. But I think raw tag should just cancel it just automatically. If you're raw tagging to just get the character in and then combo if it hits, and I think that's all it should do. You should not be able to raw tag backdash or raw tag forward dash counter or raw tag super jump float down to the ground. Like I don't want any of that. If you raw tag and you're wrong, you get punished, but if you're right, you get a combo. That's it. There ain't no, oh, I can backdash here because I haven't used it. Like, no, I want raw tag to be a risky mechanic, and I feel like canceling all air options on block will actually do wonders for balancing raw tag. Now, if you raw tag and then you get the combo, then you keep your double jump if you haven't used it, just because, you know, some characters require their double jump to actually combo on raw tag or super dash or stuff like that. So on hit, you keep your air options, but on block, if your opponent blocks, you can't do anything but block or use a special to protect yourself, like air DPs or air counters or something like that. But yeah, that's what I would do to raw tag. They don't seem that much of a nerf, but trust me, if they do something like this in the actual patch of the game, raw tag is gonna be a way more risky and more fair mechanic. Trust me, especially for how fast it is. Oh yeah, it's gonna change. Next on the list we have Vanish. So Vanish is one of my least favorite mechanics so far. Trust me, I don't like a lot of systems in this game, but Vanish is definitely one of them. And my biggest complaint about Vanish is that you're actually plus on block, where your opponent is plus on block if you actually block the Vanish. So most of the time, you don't even want to block Vanish, because if you don't block Vanish, then both of you are just in neutral, and there aren't really any winners when it comes to neutral, right? But if you block the Vanish, then your opponent is plus, and now they basically get free plus frames, and now you have to take their pressure. So what I would do is, if Vanish is completely blocked, whether it's in the air or on the ground, I want to make Vanish -5 on block. So what this creates is an RPS situation, where if your opponent vanishes, well, now they're still in your opponent's face and they can interact, but it is your opponent's turn technically. The opponent is still able to reflect, use their frame 1 DPs, or do super or something like that as defensively. But if your opponent actually blocks your Vanish, your opponent should be rewarded for it. So making it -5 on block means that both players are technically safe, but the person that actually blocked the Vanish will actually be rewarded for doing so. And that's my main change to Vanish. I feel like the opponent being plus on a Vanish is just we're way past that. There are so many characters that have better mix-up that don't need forced plus frames as a mechanic. So I feel like making it -5 on block will add more interactability and make Vanish a lot more fair. One of Dragon Ball's core mechanics, Super Dash. So I know a lot of players hate Super Dash, and trust me, I have my problems with it, but I don't think it's that egregious. So I only have one change here to Super Dash, and that is increasing the startup from 21 frames to 30 frames, and that's it. This will make it a lot easier to punish in close proximity, and this will also be able to make it more punishable in air-to-air situations. So if characters like have air DPs or air anti-airs or something like that, it will be a lot easier to actually catch Super Dash and actually be able to punish it. Now there is a downside for this, is that certain Super Dash mix-ups like Super Dash Assist might get hit by this, so you might need to change your timing, or maybe now it won't be a tight block string for certain characters. But I feel like overall Super Dash is more so used as a neutral option rather than a mix-up option for most characters, because most characters have tools in their kit to actually do mix-ups. So Super Dash plus Assist isn't really much of a mix-up nowadays. Just because the overall power creep of the characters are just way beyond that now. So I don't think it'll be too much of a change outside of just neutral interactions when it comes to SuperDash. I will also note that this will only affect SuperDash outside of hit stun. So if you're doing a combo that includes SuperDash, SuperDash will activate at the same frame as it is right now. This is only for SuperDash that is activated in neutral or in a block strings. So whenever you're in a combo, you'll SuperDash at the regular speed, but outside of that, it will be slower. That means it will be easier to punish, and then it will be more risky to SuperDash. Alright, on to my second least favorite mechanic in the game, sparking. So I have a lot of changes to sparking because honestly I think this mechanic is way too strong for its own good. So we gotta crank this system mechanic down a notch. So the first thing I would change is decrease the spark time of sparking. I would decrease the level 1 version of spark from 7 seconds to 5 seconds. At level 2, I would change it from 14 seconds to 11 seconds. And then at level 3, I would change it from 21 seconds to 19 seconds. So basically at level 1, I decreased it by 2 seconds. And then for level 2 and level 3, I decreased it by 3. So this will add a little bit more risk to using sparking because it will be less active. And it will just be more so of a burst option rather than a completely game changer, you know, mechanic where literally the character is just super cracked out now. So it'll activate for less time, which means, you know, the game is more so played in the actual Dragon Ball state rather than, oh, this character sparked, now it's a completely different game. Now it's just going to be, sparking is still going to be a thing, but it's just going to be on the screen less, you know. Next, what I would do is I would actually make the spark activation reflectable. So what this means is whenever the opponent sparks, there is a little bit of a barrier created when the character sparks. This barrier can be blocked, but it cannot be reflected. I would actually change it so it can be, that way it's easier to bait and it adds more risk to players like actually just mashing spark in random situations and stuff like that. So having the actual bubble itself be reflectable will actually make it a little bit harder for people to spark just because it is reflectable and punishable. And speaking of punishable, my next change is decreasing the pushback and adding recovery to spark activation. So whenever you block sparking in the game, the sparking barrier will actually push you away. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that away, where the opponent does get pushed back a little bit just because you need something to push the opponent back, but I'm not going to make them push back as far as the game is right now to where only certain characters can actually punish it. I'm going to make it so basically everybody can punish it with the right normal, and alongside with that I'm going to make sparking -10 on block. As of right now, I'm pretty sure sparking at its closest range is actually 0 on block, so basically unpunishable. Again, the pushback on the current version of sparking makes it very hard for anybody to punish it. So alongside with this buff, making it -10, so adding a little bit more recovery to sparking will make it completely punishable if you're able to bait it, and just make it a lot more risky to spark in situations. So and the last change I would do to sparking is limit Vanish after activation. So most of the time in Dragon Ball, if you spark, most of the time, especially if you have meter, spark Vanish is pretty much the best thing you can do, because Vanish actually tracks the opponent, and no matter where they tech, whether it's up tech, down tech, forward tech, the Vanish will actually catch them, and then they can apply pressure or a combo afterwards. So what I'm going to change is I'm going to limit the basically activation for Vanish. So I'm going to add 20 extra frames after Spark is active for the opponent to Vanish. So this basically kills Spark Vanish as a concept, and basically the only thing you can do after sparking is basically move and SuperDash or something of the sort. You can't Spark Vanish automatically. I would say like what frame it actually starts, but it's actually really hard to track. So I'm just gonna add 20 extra frames because I feel like that's enough frames for the opponent that's being sparked to actually escape from sparking and actually play a more neutral game. So that's what I would do to Vanish. So that's what I would do to sparking. The next system mechanic is the one I hate the most, Limit Break. So Limit Break is a mechanic where if you lose all the characters on your team besides the last one, you actually gain a boost. So in the current version of the game, you get a 20% attack increase every time you do damage to your opponent. You actually take away the blue life that they would gain on normal by 10%. You actually gain a meter upon entry in a Limit Break, and then you also don't lose sparking inside of hit stun. So that buff in of itself is pretty okay to me. Being able to keep your sparking while in Limit Break only in hit stun feels like an okay mechanic, because sometimes, you know, if you're trying to end your combo and your sparking runs out and then it messes up your combo, you potentially lose the game, right? I think that's fair as a mechanic. But the two things that I want to talk about is the damage multiplier just in general, and then the unrecoverable health that you do to your opponent. So like I said before, the damage multiplier for Limit Break is 20%. I'm going to decrease it from 20 to 10 just because I feel like Limit Break rewards losing, basically. And I get the whole concept of Limit Break was that at the time that the developers added it in, there were a lot of complaints that Dragon Ball was basically a snowball game, where if you lose your point character, or at least one of your characters just in general, then you couldn't win the game at all, because your opponent would just snowball you because they have 2 assists, they have tag, they have you know, guard cancel. They have so many more system mechanics and advantages over you because you lost your character, that basically it felt unwinnable. So they added Limit Break to remedy that. Well, at this point in the game, I think majority of the player base is actually at a point where this is not the case, just because of guard cancel Vanish is a thing. Guard cancel itself got buffed. Sparking has been buffed over time. Characters overall are a lot stronger than they were back when Limit Break was first introduced. So I feel like Limit Break as a handicap, or basically like a buffer system for snowball style of Dragon Ball, I feel like isn't needed right now. And so lowering the damage will give less reward for losing, basically. That's the whole point. I don't want 20% extra damage for losing, basically, and then you do a medium starter combo and now your opponent is just straight up losing because of Limit Break, right? So I'm gonna lower the damage from 20 to 10%, and then the next change I would do is decrease the unrecoverable health given to the opponent. So at this point it is 10%, I'm gonna lower it to 5%. That way your opponent will actually gain more blue life from combos. So once again, this will help blue life become more of a mechanic in the game because of chip damage. You know, being able to recover it while key charging. This is going to make blue life a more important mechanic in the game, that you know, characters like Krillin is more viable because it's Senzu Bean, or using it for sparking, it makes it more usable. Or like I said, key charge, being able to key charge and recover blue life will just make blue life a more important mechanic to the game. And so that's my major reason for this change. And the final change I want to talk about is reversals. So this talks about all the moves with special properties and barriers. So the first change I would do is all frame 1 to frame 4 anti-air specials cannot be used with assist. So this tackles Android 21, Lariat, Crossup Forward, and Crossup Back. Well, actually, no, Crossup Back actually has anti-air properties. So this would make this move more of a risk to use, because you can't actually take advantage of being able to combo easily or keep yourself safe afterwards from whiffing this in neutral and stuff like that. This would also tackle things like Blue Goku's Lariat in neutral, especially his EX1, that's frame 4 Actually, this projectile invul. Sorry. This would tackle Lab Coat 21's Corsical back. This would also tackle Vegito's Corsical back command grab, and as well as Baby's. So this might affect their mix-ups in particular, but I feel like being able to do anti-air or even anti-air DPs like Gogeta or Super Saiyan Vegeta, like the fact that they can just do anti-air DP in neutral, and then if they're wrong they call your assist and they're fine, I feel like that's not okay right now. So not being able to call your assist until after your attack is completely finished, I feel like will add more risk to using anti-air specials. And then as well, to go alongside that, all projectile invul specials cannot be used with assist. So once again, things like Lab Coat's Lariats can't be used at the same time with assist, just because being able to go through Ki Blast and then have your assist on top of that, if your opponent blocks it and then you continue to pressure, like I feel like that's way too strong right now. So this would tackle, once again, Lab Coat Lariat, Blue Goku's Lariat, especially his side swap one, because, you know, being able to call your assist and then basically sandwich your opponent is just way too good right now. Things also like Janemba's Lariat as well. You know, him going like basically full screen Lariat, call his assist, and then he's just automatically in. Like, some of that stuff is kind of nutty, so I'm going to limit that. Once again, this is not to say you can't use them at all, but I'm saying while the attack is active, you cannot call your assist while they're still active. This would basically give you a buffer window to where, you know, if your opponent is a couple frames off after the move is done, then you can reflect, you can even try to punish them, you know, add a little bit more interactivity rather than you do your Lariat and then you do your assist right in the middle of the animation. So now it's just a tight block string, and now you just straight up lose automatically, right? This will add a little bit more risk because you can only call your assist after the move is completely done. So if you call your assist, now you have to worry about, well, is my opponent gonna reflect, or are they going to guard cancel my pressure right afterwards, or are they gonna spark in the gap, or something like that, right? This adds more risk to using projectile invul moves in neutral and stuff like that, while keeping it a threat because, you know, they are projectile invul. So you can't really zone them per se, but they're not safe from being punishable, especially when assist comes into play. So anti-air and projectile invul specials can't be used with assist, both from frame 1 to frame 4. Now, any special moves outside of frame 4, so like if they're like frame 7 or frame 9 of these properties, they're completely fine, because at that point they're a lot easier to meaty with projectiles or normals or stuff like that. But frame 1 to frame 4, that's just way too fast for the situations that they're in, right? For them to be actually interactable and punishable. So those moves in particular can't use assists while they're active. You can call them after the move is completely done, just because, once again, adds interactivity with those moves in particular. Alright, so the next system change to reversals I'm going to do is barriers and counters cannot be used with assists as well. So this tackles Android 18's barrier, both on the base character and her 17 assist call. This goes to Lab Coat 21's barrier. This goes to Janemba's Hellgate, well, not Hellgate, I think it's called Dimensional Hole. This goes into Jiren's Frame 1 counter as well. His EX1 and his Corsical Forward, Corsical Back Light counter as well. Medium, it's kind of not really counter, but I guess it would technically count. And also this would also tackle, you know, things like Vegito and Gogeta 4. So once again, this just adds more fairness across the board, because the fact that you can do barrier and counters and then protect yourself from being punished for doing so, it's just way too ham, right? Actual DPs in the game like Gogeta, Super Saiyan Vegeta, Cooler, they can't do DP assist anymore. They took that out, and I feel like barriers and counters shouldn't be exempt from that because technically they are reversals. The reason why DPs can't do it is because they're frame 1 invul and they're actually reversals. Barriers and counters are, well, some of them are frame 1, but some of them are frame 4, so they're still fast enough to be considered reversals. So I feel like them not being able to use assists while they're active, just like DPs, will just add more fairness across the board when it comes to actual reversals. So this is a change that I feel like they should have made a long time ago, but barriers and counters, they cannot use assists while they're active. I feel like that's a really major change. Even outside of the changes beforehand I did to reversals, this one is really, really important that I actually think will make it into the game. Most of this list is me just spouting what I think or what I want, but I think this one in particular might actually happen just because of how strong barriers and counters are in the current state of the game, that I feel like they have to tackle this situation, right? So barriers and counters cannot use with assists while the attack is active. Alright, and the last change I will do to reversals, particular barriers, and specifically, I'm going to change the amount of meter you gain from barrier from 25% per hit to 10%. This basically limits the amount of meter you gain. So, for example, if you're playing Android 18 and then you're playing Vegito, if you 5L 18's barrier, she will gain a complete bar of meter because Vegito's 5L actually hits 4 to 5 times. With this, she will actually gain about 40 to 50%. So basically, it kind of cuts it in half. So now she can't automatically like do barrier level 3 just automatically because she gains so much meter. This basically gives less reward to barriers because once again, barriers are really, really strong in the game. So I kind of want to tone barriers down just a little bit more. So I feel like this is a really important change as well. And I feel like you should gain meter from your barrier, just not as much as it is right now. Alright guys, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more Dragon Ball FighterZ content in the future. Also, comment down below if you agree with my changes. Once again, this is not a prediction on what I think the FighterZ team is going to do. This is my personal change log into what I would do with the game if I had, full control of what to buff and nerf about the game. So this is just my little take on how I think the system mechanics should be changed for the game for the better. If you guys agree or disagree, please be sure to comment down in the comment section down below. I would love to hear your feedback, and also share this video as well. I want this to be spread just so we can have more people to talk about it, and maybe even inspire more people to do videos like this in the future. Once again, I'm going to be doing character specific change logs as well, so look out for that. I will have a teaser on screen for the characters that I will be doing in the future. So if you can guess what the characters are, then well, look out for that in the future. So with that being said, guys, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will see you guys in the next video. Sayonara.